Welcome. Today we're going to take a look at creating our last man standing game, running the tool paths, and preparing it to cut on the CNC mill. Making sure that we're set up correctly, you should have Inventor open up on your computer like I have here. This sheet, or blueprint, you guys should have set next to your keyboard. And this video should be playing on your iPad next to your keyboard on the opposite side. Please keep in mind, at any point in time that you feel necessary, you can pause, rewind, and fast forward as you see fit. Today we're going to be learning blueprint reading, geometric design and tolerancing, 3D parametric modeling, toolpath creation, and engraving. To begin, let's go up to orange file in the top left hand corner of the screen, and we're going to select new. When our window throws up, we're going to choose standard.ipt and click create. And we're going to take a 2D sketch to drawing with the green plus mark, place that on our XY plane, and then click front in our world view cube. Alright, referencing our drawing, our overall dimension for our rectangle of our part is 8 inches in the horizontal direction, 4 inches in the vertical direction, and we're going to extrude it going back 0.75, which is 3/4 of an inch. Okay, so let's get our rectangle tool from the create section in our ribbon bar, lock onto our home, our origin, which is the X0, Y0, Z0. When you get locked on, you get a green dot. Hold your mouse steady, click, let go of the mouse button, stretch out a rectangle. Our horizontal dimension is 8. Press the tab key on the keyboard. Our vertical dimension is 4. Press enter on the keyboard. We're going to green check mark from the ribbon bar at the top and click home in our world view cube here. Now we're going to take and extrude. Click your extrude button from the create menu. We're going to extrude in direction number 2. That orange arrow should be pointing away from us, and that brings our sketch onto the front view of that object. We're going to change our distance we're extruding to 0.75 and then click OK. Let's reference our drawing again. We're going to be laying out these points here so that the pegs can fit into them. You can see that they are dimensioned on one side, and then we're going to use rectangular pattern in order to rectangular pattern that feature up. Okay, so let's start with this first one. We're going to have a point that is 0.75 in from the left hand side and 0.5 up from the bottom. So going back to our part, let's take a 2D sketch, place it on our front view, and click front in our world view cube so that it fits on our screen and centers it. And I'll just zoom in just a little bit so we can see things. I'm going to get my point tool, and I need to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points along that side. So let's start with that. Starting in the lower left hand corner, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See how I kind of have them going up at an angle? Okay, press the escape key, let go of your point tool, and let's take a look at our dimension. Our first dimension is 0.75 in from the left and 0.5 up from the bottom. To create those dimensions, we're going to go to our dimension tool in the ribbon bar up here. We're going to dimension from the bottom of our part when it turns red to our point when it turns red, and bring this dimension out to the side. This dimension is 0.5. Type it into the bar there and green check mark. We're also going to dimension from the left hand side of our part when it turns red, click, and our point when it turns red, click. Bring this dimension down, and this dimension is 0.75. Green check mark. Let's go on to our next one. Referencing our drawing, our second point is 1.5 in from the side and 0.875 up from the bottom. So once again, let's go back to our part and start entering these dimensions in. We're going to dimension from the bottom of our part to the second point. Bring this dimension out. See how I am stacking them out here on the side? I'm not placing them on top of one another. Kind of organize them out here to the side, and this is 0.875. Green check mark. And we're going to dimension again from the left hand side of our part to that second point and bring this one straight down. Make sure you're organizing them here. And this dimension is 1.5. Green check mark. Taking a look at our third dimension, we're 2.25 in from the side and 1.25 up from the bottom. Back on our drawing, we're going to take a dimension again from our bottom of our part to our third point. Bring this dimension out, organizing and stacking it nicely. This is 1.25 0.25, green check mark. And we're going to dimension from the left-hand side of our part to the point, bring this dimension down, and this dimension is 2.25, and green check mark. Taking a look at our fourth hole, 1, 2, 3, fourth hole, this one is 1.625 up from the bottom, and 3 inches in from the left-hand side. Dimension again from the bottom of our part to that fourth point. Stack your dimensions over here on the side nicely. 1.625 we enter in, green check mark. And the left-hand side of our part to our point, bring this dimension down, and this dimension is 3 inches. For our fifth and final one that we have up here, this dimension is 2 inches up from the bottom, and we are 3.75 inches in from the side. So we're going to dimension again from the bottom to our point. Stack your dimension nice out on the side. This is 2 inches. And we're going to go from the left-hand side of our part to that point, stacking our dimension nicely at the bottom. This dimension is 3.75. Press enter on the keyboard or a green check mark. Okay. Next, taking a look at our drawing, we are going to use the rectangular pattern. We're going to select the feature, which is that point there. We're going to rectangular pattern along the y-axis. We're going to flip it, and quantity of 5, spacing of 0.75. Okay, so let's go on to the next one. We're going to go to our rectangular tool, which is next to the dimension tool. There's a rectangular pattern right here. We're going to click on that. First, we want to select our geometry, so we're going to click that first point in the bottom left-hand corner. We're going to choose the direction that we want it to rectangular pattern along, so we're going to change our pick tool to here. We're going to click the left-hand side of our part. When it highlights red, click to select it. Now notice how the direction arrow is facing down. We're going to take and flip that so the direction arrow is facing up. And we're going to have our quantity, we're going to change here to 5, and our spacing, we're going to change to 0.75. Once you have that done, you can see I'm kind of ghosted here along the edge. Click OK. We're going to do the same thing for our next one. And all of these are the same, except we change our quantity from 5 to 4 to 3 to 2. Okay? So let's do those for the next ones. Rectangular pattern again. Select your next point. Change to your direction pick tool, which is the arrow tool. Click the left-hand side of your part. That's your y-axis. We're going to flip that direction arrow so the green arrow is pointing up. We're going to change this quantity to 4 and our line spacing to 0.75 and click OK. See those points get added in there? Pretty cool. Rectangular pattern again. Let's go to our third point. Select our direction pick tool. Let's choose our y-axis, the left-hand side of our part. We're going to flip that arrow so that it goes up. We're going to change our quantity to 3 and our spacing to 0.75 and then green check mark. Going on to the last one, we have the rectangular pattern. Rectangular pattern, our fourth point. Choose our direction arrow. Click the left-hand side of our part, the y-axis. We're going to flip it so that that green arrow is pointing up. 2 is what we're going to change our quantity to, and our spacing is going to be 0.75. And click OK. Now that we have all those done, we're ready to finish sketch. So go up to the ribbon bar in the top left-hand corner, finish sketch. And we're going to take and use our hole tool. Let's take a look at the note for that. We're going to use our hole tool. The diameter is 0.125 and the depth is 0.25 for all the holes. So back on our part, let's choose our hole tool from the modify section in our ribbon bar. Choose the hole tool. And here we have a couple of settings we need to get checked for us. We want to have a simple hole with no seat. We want to have distance selected, this icon right here. And then we're going to come down here and change our depth to 0.25. And we're going to change the diameter to 0.125. Once you have those settings selected, press the OK button. Okay, back on our drawing, we have this little rectangle cut out here. That's all the pegs are going to get stacked in when they're not in use. So we're going to create that. This rectangle is 1 inch in a horizontal width, 3.5 in a vertical height. So back on our part, let's get our rectangle tool. After we get a 2D sketch, we're going to place this on our front work plane. Click front in your world view cube. get our rectangle tool. We're going to start somewhere kind of where it needs to be, but on the gray part. We don't want to be off of our part. We want to be on the part. We're going to stretch out this dimension, and this dimension is 1 inch along the horizontal. Press the tab key on the keyboard. 3.5 is our vertical height, and then press enter on the keyboard. Now we have to give it, we gave it dimension for its size. Now we have to give it a dimension for the location. So let's take a look at that on our reference drawing. The bottom of this rectangle here is 4.5 inches in from the left hand side, and it's 0.25 up from the bottom. So let's create those dimensions next. Grab our dimension tool. I want to select the left hand side of my part. When it turns red, click. And I want to click the left hand side of my rectangle that we just created. When it turns red, click. Bring this dimension down. This dimension is 4.5. Green check mark. I also want a dimension from the bottom of my part. When it turns red, click. And the bottom of the rectangle we just created. When that turns red, click. Bring your dimension off to the side. Click to place it, and we're going to change this dimension to 0.25. Green check mark. Okay, now before we go any further, let's take a look at our reference drawing, see if we're missing anything. Yes, take a look here. We have 4 fillets to round over the corners in our rectangle, and the radius is 0.125. So let's put those fillets on. Next, we're going to come up here to our Create section, and we're going to click our Fillet tool. We're going to change our diameter to 0.125, and then I'm going to click the left-hand side of our part, click the top of our part, click the top of your part, click the right side, click the right side, click the bottom, click the bottom, click the left side. When you're finished with that, press Escape on your keyboard. That puts our fillets in, nice rounded over corners. And now we're going to green check mark Finish Sketch. And let's take a look at our reference drawing again. We're going to find out how deep this goes, and we can see that on the side view of our drawing. We can see that the depth of that pocket is 0.25. So let's take and extrude that. We're going to click our Extrude button. Should automatically select your rectangle. If you don't, you may have to click that. We're going to flip our direction so that it's going the opposite way. We're going to highlight our dimension and change that to 0.25. And we want to make sure we also have this cut feature selected as well. And then click OK. Awesome. Looks like we got our part taken care of here. The next thing we're going to do is go up to the top. We're going to go to where it says Default above the ribbon bar. Click on that, and we're going to scroll all the way down to the bottom, and we're going to choose Yellow Pine. Awesome. Let's save this part now. Let's go up to the orange file in the top left-hand corner of the screen. We're going to go to Save As. Make sure you're in your H drive. First initial, last name 000. If this does not automatically come up for you, click in the pull-down menu here on the left-hand side, and you're going to choose your H drive right here. And we're going to change our file name to Lastman Standing, and then your last name. So you're going to type in Lastman Standing is the name of the part, and your last name you're going to type in next. Click Save. Excellent. Now, once we have that saved, you're ready to go on to the next video where we're going to show you how to run the tool paths and create the tool paths to cut this on the CNC mill. See you in the next video.